Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I thought I'd take you through some of my favourite album packaging, which is just going to be taken from my collection. So apologies if some of the albums and the artists I show are familiar. I don't have a comprehensive collection covering all the genres, so there's a lot of missing stuff here, a lot of great album packaging which are not going to be on this list for the simple reason, apart from anything else, that I don't have them in my collection. So the way I came up with them is I previously did a video on great album covers, and that's obviously part of it, the album cover, the back cover as well. If there's a gatefold sleeve, that was taken into account, how effective that is, whether it's got the lyrics, whether it's on coloured vinyl, I took that into account as well. So the overall package and presentation, and also the goodies. With certain albums, when you have bought them over the years, they come with extra stuff like posters. I remember several Wings albums came with a poster, and one Lennon album, I imagine, as well. Some of them come with booklets, some of them come with postcards. And I've even got one 3D cover on the list here because I just absolutely love it to bits, so I couldn't resist putting that in the top. I've got 17 albums from my collection, and I've just a couple bubbling under here, like Dave Mason Alone Together, which I showed pretty recently. It's pretty effective, just because of the way it folds out with the cutout. I think it's really I'm not going to ruin it, so everyone's concerned that I don't take care of my collection, so I'll be careful. Boney M, not too big in the States but huge in Europe. This was a nice cover, Night Flight to Venus, with the back cover there, and great gatefold there. And also what is glorious about this is you get 6 or 5 postcards, which I haven't sent to anyone. I've just kept them in mint condition here, and picked up a couple of copies of this album just for that reason. So now we're into the 17 which are on my list, and the first one is another Boney M album from 1979, I think, Oceans of Fantasy. And what's great about this is not particularly the front cover or the gatefold, although that's quite effective. But it's the fact that this opens out into this glorious picture of Boney M having a feast. I just think it's absolutely hilarious. And I know you American viewers may not be familiar with who I'm talking about, Boney M, but they were absolutely huge all over Europe. They're huge here where I live in Hungary. They were huge in the UK. They had #1 singles for weeks on end in the late 70s. Number 16, I was going to have another honourable mention is Physical Graffiti from Led Zeppelin. I was going to have that on the list, but then I thought of In Through the Outdoor, which I thought was even cleverer as a piece of album packaging. So it comes in this kind of post office envelope, and then you get the album inside it, and then there's a couple of neat things about this. The inner sleeve, I haven't done it with this one, but if you add water to it, it goes all different colours. And then the other good point about this sleeve is the front cover. There's 6 versions to collect, A, B, C, D, E, F, named that way on the spine. And I've got all 6. And Hypnosis did the design for that cover, as they did a lot of Led Zeppelin covers, a lot of Pink Floyd covers, a lot of Wings covers. And I showed you a book, I think, a couple of weeks ago, which collects a lot of their album cover art, and it really is superb. Next, we've got Out of the Blue from Electric Light Orchestra. And again, it's not just for the cover with the back cover, which opens out into this huge spaceship, which is marvellous. And then the inside of the spaceship here. But the main reason this album is on the list is for the goodies. You've got the poster. My original is not in such good condition as this. And then you've got the cut-out spaceship, which I haven't made, but it's just great. And this is in really good nick. I'm going to be really careful here showing it to you, because I don't want to, I want to keep it in mint condition. In fact, I'll put it away later, shall I? So that was Out of the Blue, ELO, a classic album from 1977. And then I've got, next on the list, I've got a Rolling Stones album called Black and Blue, which is notable. This version is notable for a couple of reasons. One, in the Gatefold opens out to be one of the best portraits of the Stones of all time, with the Gatefold of them on the beach there. And then you've got the lyrics, you've got the musician credits, and then this particular copy is on glorious blue vinyl. So when I saw this in a second-hand shop in Aberdeen, I couldn't resist it. It was not that cheap, but as I say, couldn't resist it. So that was that, Black and Blue. Number 13, I've got Layla from Derek and the Dominoes, which is a great cover in itself. Painting, I forget who did the painting, but it's of Patty Harrison at the time, and Eric was in love with her, and he went under a pseudonym because he didn't want to give the game away, although I didn't think it took $1 million brain to work out what a lot of the songs on this album were about. But the reason I've got this on the list is not only for the front cover, but the fact that this is on yellow vinyl, which was only a European issue, as I understand it. I don't think it came out in the UK or the US. So I picked it up in south of France in the summer, and it wasn't that expensive. It was, for a double album, it was less than €30. So I was pretty happy with that. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road from Elton, signed by Del Newman on the back there. This is notable for a couple of reasons. One, the artwork displaying the lyrics is brilliant. The band pictures on the back. And then the reason it's in the top 20, if I'm honest, is because it's on glorious yellow vinyl. And it's in pretty good nick, this. I have played it quite a lot over the years, and it plays pretty well. Some people say that coloured vinyl quality is not quite as good, but I've never had any problems with this album, and so that's pretty high on the list. Elton. Then we've got another Stones album, High Tide and Green Grass. This is a compilation from '66, which is really great, and it was my introduction to the Stones, and this would have been one of the earliest examples, not only of a gatefold sleeve. It wasn't that early an example of that, because Blonde on Blonde from Dylan had already been gatefold and double. But what's interesting about this album is it came with this booklet, which is again, I'm gonna be careful that I keep it in mint condition, but this is I think it was pretty unusual for an album to come out with a sort of 6-page colour photo booklet like that in '66. That was pretty rare. So because the Beatles albums at the time, like Rubber Soul and Revolver and Hard Day's Night, were not coming out with any goodies. And then the other thing I have to show you on this is some glorious kind of turquoise vinyl on the Decca label, and with the colour of the label matching the colour of the vinyl there. So they did a really nice job. This was a Record Day special in the UK about, I'm guessing 3 years ago, something like that. So that's really nice to have. Then we've got the self-titled album from Ringo from '73, which is my favourite of his solo albums. It's got the musician credits on the back, but what's really noticeable about this is the gatefold and the lithographs. Klaus Voormann, who did this is signed by Barbara Bach-Starkey, Ringo's wife there. When I first asked her to sign it, she said, well, I'm not on this album. And I said, yeah, but you're Ringo's wife. She goes, yeah, but I'm not on the album. And I said, well, can you sign it anyway? And she goes, yeah, okay. So Klaus Voormann does these great drawings. So he did the cover for Revolver famously, That's the cut. That's the drawing for I'm the Greatest. Have you seen my baby? These glorious pencil drawings, photograph. I would love to have the originals of these, or one of them. You're 16. There's a hilarious one for Oh My My. So I really love this packaging, and it's a great album, but this list is not about the music, it's about the packaging of the album, and that's a special one for me. Now, number 9, we've got The Raven. This is the 3D sleeve I was talking about. And this album was made available in the normal Raven picture, but I think it was the first 25,000 or maybe 50,000 copies came in this glorious 3D. And it just makes such an impact. I wish they'd do more of 3D covers, because I think that's really effective. Of course, a lot of this discussion is completely surrounding vinyl, because when you buy a CD, it doesn't matter how good the packaging is. It's not going to wow you. It's not going to make you too impressed. And certainly on Spotify, you don't get any of that at all. Album covers are more or less redundant, so let alone the goodies or the lyrics or the packaging that came with it. So this is a vinyl discussion, so those of you from the younger generation may be too young to have experienced this firsthand, but hopefully you've discovered vinyl through some of the second-hand shops. Number 8, I've chosen the Blue album, Compilation of the Beatles, just because I think, firstly, this picture of 63 compared to the 69, taken in exactly the same place in Manchester Square, EMI in London, is fascinating. And then this gatefold, that's taken in King's Cross, in a garden up at King's Cross, next to a church. And I was there the other year, and by this exact railing, or I think it's been rebuilt, but it's those pictures, the front cover and this gatefold, had not been used publicly before this album came out, and then this is on glorious blue vinyl, and I have the matching red album on red vinyl, and the lyrics are nice because lyrics were not that common in the Beatles output. They had included the lyrics in Sgt. Pepper and Mystery Tour, the US version, and the EP in the UK, and then on the White Album you had the lyrics on the back of the poster. But other than that, the lyrics were not coming with Beatles albums, so that was quite nice for the fans. And some of the younger fans got into the Beatles through the red and the blue, so important for many reasons. This is John Lennon, Walls and Bridges, and I'll just quickly open it up. This is an Italian version which is in good condition. What's really neat about this album is the flaps come away here, and the back cover there, and you can change the back cover to any combination of Lennon's face that you like. And again, I've got to be really careful of this because it's got a booklet inside, it's got an inner sleeve, and I'm going to put it away later. Be careful to put all this stuff away later, because my original copy of Walls and Bridges is kind of disintegrating a little bit. Number 6, we've got Captain Fantastic from Elton. I picked up this copy second-hand in Ludlow about 2.5 years ago. And first of all, it's notable for the superb gatefold picture. I forget who did the painting. But also included in the album are a lyric sheet, a book of scraps, which is kind of miscellaneous stories from the press and other stuff, picture sleeves and stuff like that. The lyrics, as I said, with a nice illustration there. And then a glorious poster of the front cover. I was absolutely delighted to find this copy in Ludlow, and it wasn't expensive. I think the guy was only charging 10 quid, and considering this is in pretty near mint condition, I would have paid double that, I think. So that's Elton. Number 5, we've got Wish You Were Here from Pink Floyd, another Hypnosis cover, and another cover which is just a joy for a fan to, and this album, even on new vinyl, is not, they're not charging the earth for it, and considering the packaging is, you know, quite elaborate, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to open it up. In fact, I don't think I am, but suffice to say that the album cover is sublime, and the postcard of the guy diving in the lake is included in there as well. And really atmospheric inner sleeve photos as well. And as I say, that on new vinyl was not much more expensive than a normal new vinyl, and certainly less than the price they're charging for new Beatles vinyl. It's interesting how some bands charge less for vinyl than others, and the variants can be up to £10 literally. Number 4, I've chosen Sgt. Pepper. Now this must have been at the time absolutely amazing, because it was the first album to include the lyrics. It was one of the first albums to include a gatefold. This is a mono edition, by the way. This is the inner sleeve from The Fool, who designed the shop design on the street for the Baker Street shop. And then, rather amusingly, you've got these cardboard cutouts, and I remember I found a copy of the cutouts in my parents' attic, but the record was missing, so that was a bit of a mystery. So my Beatles life started off with the cutouts with no record. And then obviously I picked up the record before long, and then kept the cutouts in my version in mint condition, but I'd already cut up my parents' one. What have we got now? We've got number 3, we've got All Things Must Pass from George Harrison. Just a majestic packaging of a great album. It's basically a double album with an additional disc of jams, and comes in this really nice presentation box with the poster, which I'm not going to open up. It's got the lyrics, it's got the musician credits. It's absolutely beautiful. My only complaint is that the new vinyl, they've heavily overpriced it, or maybe it does cost quite a lot to produce, but I saw it in HMV famously for 102 quid. I was pretty horrified, but at the time it was not costing the earth, and it was worth it because it was just brilliant quality music. And you know, you have the poster, you have this sturdy box, which even my copy from the late 70s has lasted pretty well. Then we're up to the top 2 now, and we've got Sticky Fingers. I've chosen Sticky Fingers mainly because of this unique zip cover. Most of the recent copies of Sticky Fingers you'll see in the shops do not have the zip, and you can even undo the zip, although I tend not to because it's going to maybe ruin it. It's in pretty good condition, this. It's got the Andy Warhol underpants picture underneath that, and it's got the famous picture of the band there with the musician credits here. And as I say, you can't get this zip new. Well, maybe you can pick it up second hand, but I guess the dealers are charging quite a lot of money for it. I wouldn't be surprised. And then I just want to show you this. This is not an original Spanish version, but in Spain that zip cover was deemed to be too offensive, so they put out this treacle with the fingers coming out of the treacle, which is actually equally offensive in my opinion, with the colorized version of the same picture, which was in the inner sleeve there of the British version. And this album's on pink vinyl, but as I say, this is a 1980 and it's also pretty dirty as well. It's a 1980 repress, and it might even be a bootleg, I'm not sure, but I've always been after the original Spanish 71 version, and I think that goes for about 70 plus euros on Discogs, so I may not be in a total hurry to pick that up. So that leaves me with my number 1 choice, and this is just a masterpiece of album packaging. This is the Beatles' White Album in '68. So what do they follow up Sgt. Pepper with their follow-up album in the UK? A plain white cover, in complete contrast to the multicoloured cover of the Sgt. Pepper, and this is just a piece of art because they got Richard Hamilton to help with the design, and he helped design the poster, and the records came out of the top uniquely. The 4 beautiful colour pictures. This is a mono edition. Can you imagine how exciting it would? Well, some of you may have been fans at the time who did go out and buy this, and I just can't imagine how exciting it must have been for you guys getting this home. We've got the poster in there as well, which I'm not going to get out. It's on the Glorious Apple label, but the poster makes good use of space as well. Richard Hamilton was quite an artful photographer. He put together that collage, and it wasn't too crammed with pictures. It's using space as well, and he and McCartney worked on that poster collage quite intently, apparently, mostly those two, and individually numbered here, although this is the reissue numbering, so it doesn't mean too much. But what a glorious and really tasteful and wonderful piece of packaging this album is, and it fits the music, and it's just superb. And so here's the albums I showed you. Just my opinion, and it's just my collection, so sorry if your favourite album packaging is missing from the list, but I just wanted to show you a few of my favourites. Thank you for watching. See you next time.